From the moment Deadliest Catch premiered, Johnathan Hillstrand stood out as one of the most charismatic and unpredictable captains in the fleet. Known for commanding the Time Bandit with his brother Andy, he was equal parts entertainer and risk-taker, often cracking jokes one minute and pushing his crew to the brink the next. Fans loved his humor and outrageous stunts, but behind the laughter, warnings began to spread. Insiders whispered that Johnathan's impulsive style and rebellious nature might one day cross the line. The Bering Sea is unforgiving, and those who don't respect its dangers often pay dearly. Yet, for years, Johnathan thrived on skating the edge, making him both a fan favorite and a lightning rod for controversy. Long before television cameras showed up, Johnathan Hillstrand's life was shaped by the water. Growing up in Homer, Alaska, he came from a family where fishing wasn't just a career, but a way of survival. As a teenager, he was already facing the brutal realities of crabbing, where one mistake could mean disaster. Those who knew him as a boy often described him as fearless to a fault, a trait that never left him. His confidence and risk-taking served him well when building the Time Bandit legacy, but warnings followed him even then. Some said his boldness would eventually catch up with him. Still, Johnathan ignored the doubters, living life by his own rules, convinced he could beat the odds. When Deadliest Catch hit the airwaves in 2005, the Hillstrand brothers quickly became household names. The Time Bandit wasn't just a crab boat. It was a floating circus where fireworks were launched, pranks were pulled, and high-stakes drama unfolded. Fans were instantly drawn to Johnathan's larger-than-life personality, the captain who turned one of the most dangerous jobs in the world into must-watch television. But some of the other captains quietly warned that Johnathan's showmanship might one day overshadow his seamanship. In an industry where focus and discipline mean survival, being distracted by the spotlight can be deadly. For years, Johnathan defied those warnings, balancing television fame with fishing success, but the cracks were beginning to show. For all his humor, Johnathan was known to have a temper that could ignite in seconds. Crew members spoke about his unpredictable outbursts, where one wrong move could trigger a storm of yelling that rivaled the Bering Sea itself. Discovery producers often leaned into this volatility, knowing it made for gripping television, but those close to Johnathan worried about the toll it took. His temper sometimes led to rash decisions on deck, moments where safety became secondary to proving a point. The warnings about his fiery personality weren't just about television drama. They were about survival in an environment where leadership can mean the difference between life and death. Away from the cameras, Johnathan's rebellious streak often landed him in hot water. In 2010, he faced serious legal battles, including lawsuits tied to business disputes. These issues raised red flags about his judgment and his ability to separate his larger-than-life television persona from the real-world responsibilities that came with his success. Some of his fellow captains privately warned that the fame had gone to his head, blurring the line between reality TV stardom and the harsh reality of running a fishing empire. Though Johnathan always managed to bounce back, the controversies chipped away at his image, making those early warnings ring louder. In 2017, Johnathan shocked fans by announcing his retirement from Deadliest Catch. He said he was ready to leave the dangers of the Bering Sea behind and focus on family and life on land. At first, it seemed like a natural conclusion to his wild ride. But just a few years later, he returned to the series, unable to stay away from the adrenaline of crabbing. The warnings that he wouldn't be able to walk away from the sea were true. Many who knew him said that Johnathan was addicted to the danger, the spotlight, and the thrill of pushing limits. His comeback thrilled fans but raised concerns about how long his body, and his luck, could keep holding out. Fishing in the Bering Sea is brutal on even the youngest men, and Johnathan is no exception. Over the years, viewers noticed the toll the lifestyle was taking on him. The long hours, constant stress, and punishing conditions began to show in his face and movements. Fans worried openly online about his health, while others warned that his refusal to slow down could end in tragedy. For a man who laughed in the face of danger, the creeping signs of aging were perhaps the one challenge he couldn't joke his way out of. And yet, true to form, Johnathan pushed on, determined to prove he could keep up with men half his age. Johnathan's larger-than-life persona also weighed heavily on his family, particularly his brother Andy, who often had to balance Johnathan's wild instincts with the hard realities of running the Time Bandit. Their partnership created some of the most memorable moments in Deadliest Catch history, but it also led to visible tension. Andy often played the role of the calmer, more rational brother, while Johnathan embraced chaos. Those close to the family warned that this imbalance could strain their bond beyond repair. And while the brothers have always shown love and loyalty, the pressure of fame, finances, and constant danger created cracks that were hard to ignore. Not all of Johnathan's conflicts came from the sea or his family. Over the years, he also butted heads with Discovery Channel. In 2012, the Hillstrands famously walked away from Deadliest Catch after a legal dispute with the network over their spin-off series Hillstranded. The feud ended with lawsuits and public fallout before eventually being resolved, allowing the brothers to return. The incident revealed just how volatile Johnathan could be when pushed, and it served as yet another warning about his unpredictable nature. Fans celebrated his return, but those behind the scenes knew this wasn't a man who could ever be fully controlled. Despite, or perhaps because of, his controversies, Johnathan remained one of the most beloved captains on Deadliest Catch. Fans saw him as the heart of the show, the man who brought humor and humanity to an otherwise brutal world. But even his biggest supporters admitted that his unpredictability was part of what made him so compelling and so dangerous. The warnings about Johnathan weren't meant to discredit him but to highlight the fragile balance he walked between entertainment and recklessness. That duality is what made fans cheer and worry in equal measure, knowing that with Johnathan, anything could happen at any moment. The Time Bandit became more than a crab boat, it became a symbol of the Hillstrand legacy. But maintaining that legacy has been a constant struggle, with legal issues, financial pressures, and the physical toll of crabbing threatening to sink it more than once. Johnathan's insistence on living life his way has kept the Time Bandit alive but also put it at risk. Those who warned that he might one day push too far were pointing to this very struggle, the difficulty of keeping a family empire afloat when the captain refuses to play by the rules. His legacy is both inspiring and cautionary, a reminder of how thin the line between triumph and collapse can be. If you're drawn to powerful stories and the most shocking revelations from the world of celebrities, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss another emotional, surprising, or eye-opening update. We're just getting started, and there's so much more to uncover. Your support keeps these stories alive and helps us bring you the truth behind the headlines. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. Today, as Deadliest Catch continues, Johnathan Hillstrand remains one of the most fascinating figures in its history. But looking back, it's impossible to ignore the warnings that trailed him from the beginning. They warned us about his temper, his reckless nature, his battles with authority, and his refusal to ever truly walk away from the sea. And now, years later, we see how much truth there was in those warnings. Johnathan's story is one of brilliance, humor, and unforgettable charisma, but also one of risk, controversy, and danger. He may be a legend of the Bering Sea, but his legacy proves that sometimes, the warnings we ignore are the ones that matter most.